Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today I have something new here. I have this little guy, this little microphone that is fluffy over here so that it will help the sound quality. Because my first video, the sound quality was a little bit too low, so it was a bit hard to hear. And I am also filming this today on an earlier time. Because the last video I filmed and then there was sunset. So the video just got darker and darker. So hopefully now it's very clear during the day. And yeah, let's get started. So today I like to talk about the masculine and feminine energies. And this topic has been really popular nowadays, especially when it comes to relationship advices that we hear a lot on social media. And I actually started to understand, to learn about these concepts a few years ago, around 4 or 5 years ago, when I actually met someone that I was dating, and he was the one who introduced me this concept. And since then, I actually found it really life-changing. Because, you see, masculine energy is the energy within us, is the part within us that is like, go, do stuff, take action, take control of things, do the things, achieve the things. It's putting the outward energy. While the feminine part of us is the part of us that learns to tap into our emotions, to feel, to be in our body, in the present moment, to receive instead of giving. It's a heart energy, while the masculine is more of the mind energy. And what I found interesting, well, this concept is actually not a new concept. Carl Jung used to talk about the concept of anima, which is the masculine, and animus, the feminine. I think I've got it right. Hope so. Yeah, so Jung was one of the first to talk about this concept in psychology, which means our inner masculine and inner feminine. But what I found interesting is that we often, when we talk about these concepts, we might think more of a superficial level. Also, the masculine man is that alpha man, that, the very rare kind of man. And then the feminine is that, the dandy, sweet little girl, the wouldn't hurt anyone kind of thing. But it's actually not really very true. Because this is my perspective, so what I feel that the feminine energy is about. The feminine energy is really more about coming home to our heart. So the more we come home to our heart, it's not about being like acting like a woman, feminine woman, like high heels and whatever, but rather being more in our hearts. And when we do so, when we have the capacity to be more vulnerable, for example, and tap into our inner desires, our inner needs, our inner emotions, the softening parts happens naturally. But then, you see, feminine side of us, just like our hearts, just like our inner world, it's not just one color, it's not just one flavor. It is not just that soft, feminine, calm, receptive side of us. Women, the feminine energy, is like an ocean. Sometimes you have the calm waves, really calm, really soft. You feel like really nourished when you are watching the ocean, when you're feeling the water on your feet at the beach. But sometimes the feminine can also be that tsunami, like the thunderstorms and rain and all the weather storms, and then the ocean gets, the waves, super big waves, destroys everything. And just like our inner world, like we have the soft side, we have the loving sides, we have the, like that puppy, that kid, and life is so good, everything is so beautiful, love and light. But then we also have that part like the anger, for example, like all those strong emotions that we can feel, like the passion, like the desires that we want in our lives to feel alive, to claim our places. Like when we learn to tap more and more into our heart, because that's what the feminine journey is about, we begin to feel all these colors within us. Like there is so much inside our inner world. And for example, each woman, like each person, each woman has so much flavors. Like sometimes we can tap into our inner sweet princess, like happy with the world and enjoying the moment. And sometimes we can tap into our inner savage queen, like that accepts no BS. That it's like, no, this is my boundaries and this and this and this. And there is just so many things that we feel, so many parts of us inside. But because how the society is and how we grow up, many parts of us are actually conditioned out of us. So we disconnect from these parts because we perceive them as less ideal, less good. For example, anger. Our anger is so important. And our anger is actually just a part of us that loves us so much and enough to say that, okay, this situation is not all right with me. Something is not all right and not acceptable. So that's why it comes up. But because we never really learn, a lot of us grow up learning that anger might be a bad thing. So instead of learning how to channel it in better ways, we just learn to suppress it. And you see, the beauty of it is that when like years ago, I wasn't really this confident like now. And back then I started to work with a coach. And then we were having many sessions and all, but it was until I actually did anger meditation back then, actually by Louise Hay. Then you can Google it on YouTube. It's the anger meditation by Louise Hay. And actually, when I did that and anger, I actually really felt the first time all the intensity of my repressed anger. Because back then, I thought that, I never had anger issues. Yeah, and I could sometimes say things that I didn't like, or so I thought, because many things I actually were more on the people-pleasing side, avoiding the conflict side, than actually like confronting things. And I thought that I didn't have anger issues. But when I did that meditation, a lot of anger, like just waves like coming up, and I was like, oh. And after that, I began my journey to reconnect with my anger as well, and many other parts inside me. But anger was a crucial part of me that I needed to reconnect with. And it was when I reconnected with my anger that my confidence got a boost. Because you see, when we are repressing one of the tools for us to defend ourselves in this world, because anger is just a signal, a tool so that we can have a defense mechanism against any situations in this world that we perceive that might be a threat for us. When we do so, we lose an important tool that when well channeled, when we learn how to channel it in a healthy way, it can actually help us to have defenses in this world. So when we lose a tool like this, and we don't have another tool to deal with potential threats in this life, it is then we subconsciously lose the confidence to position ourselves in the outer world, because we would be scared that we would be defenseless if we are against certain situations that comes up that we feel threatened, like potential conflicts with people, with co-workers, friends, acquaintances, families. So owning the anger it was a crucial part of my owning my confidence back. And you see, this is the thing, the feminine, like the inner work for reconnecting with our feminine essence. It's not about, being this beautiful, cute lady, dressing nicely and all. No, it's reconnecting with our heart. And that includes both the beautiful and the darker sides of us. Well, you might have heard about the concepts of dark feminine and all. And in many places, you actually see they talk about the dark feminine has that femme fatale and all, but it's not exactly like that. It is more about owning the shadow parts of us, to do the shadow work, which is to reconnect with parts of us that we have disowned and integrate them back into us. So that, for example, when I reintegrated with my anger, it didn't mean that now I am easily angered and I'm just going to slap people and doing all those conflicts with people. No, it's actually acknowledging that, okay, I have, it's legitimate, it's valid for me to feel angry in certain situations. I can acknowledge it. I can acknowledge why I feel this way, the validity of why I feel this way. And then I learn other ways to channel it through healthier ways of communicating, to say, hey, this is not all right for me. I don't feel comfortable with this. And to have the confidence to communicate in a healthy way my boundaries and how I feel, for the other person to also understand my perspective and the impact of their actions. So, doing the inner work, the feminine inner work, it's like more than just being the nice girl or the female fatale, the siren, seductive, and all those things. It's actually also like, since we're talking about siren and seductions, it's also about owning what we desire, like what are our real desires. You see, some time ago I saw this TikTok video. It was like about how different it is, workout for men and workout for women. And I saw that when a man was working out, like he was like, 1, 2, I am strong. I don't deserve much. I need to suffer through it and all. Like, I need to be strong for my bloodline and etc. And like the masculine way of doing inner work is like, imagine that hero that is fighting dragons, struggling throughout the journey, doing all those things, suffering, climbing mountains, like all those nice things, like that is like hustling, etc. But when it comes to the feminine, it's actually very different. So the feminine, it's more about embracing our vulnerability. And it takes a whole different type of courage to do so. Like how courageous many of us actually can be when it comes to really opening up our hearts and put it out there and be vulnerable enough to, for example, communicate to our partners like what we really, really desire. Like how many of us are vulnerable enough to be so truthful in what we want instead of, becoming like aggressive. Like, so for example, many women, and including me in the past, actually, when we wanted something from our partners, instead of saying that we want something in a really heartfelt way, like we usually go say, hey, you never do this, you never do that, you never really take me out to dates, like blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that comes from like our defensiveness. It comes from inside of us, actually from our inner masculine as well. That is like, I want this and this is not all right, etc. But when we learn to be really vulnerable, when we learn to be really in our heart, it takes a lot of courage to be so vulnerable to just say, hey, I really desire for you to take me to a nice date. And I would really love for you to, buy me flowers and all. I'd really love those kind of things. Because, you see, when we are so vulnerable, we actually risk rejection, isn't it? And because we are so conditioned to be on our survival mode, to only trust ourselves and not trust the other person, our partners, the masculine energy, basically in our lives, we learn that, okay, for us to have what we want, we need to be like strong and, go at it with all this masculine energy. But then the feminine inner work, it's more about when I feel those ways, when I feel really upset, can I really acknowledge how I feel? Can I really embrace what's really hurting inside? Can I tap into my heart and embrace my heart to validate how I truly feel without telling myself that, oh, I shouldn't really feel this way, that, oh, I'm too much? Can I really have the courage to embrace how I feel, to sit with the discomfort inside, and then dig deeper, like, what do I really desire in that moment? And then to tap into the desire that, oh, maybe all I ever wanted was connecting to my partner. And I am upset at him because I wanted to connect to him. And he's not really paying enough attention to understand that. And that upsets me. Can I have the courage to really tap into that and then to bring all this vulnerability out and communicate it to my partner, and to trust that he might be able to understand me? And if not, then maybe we can still work things out together. Can I put my heart out into this vulnerable space? And reconnecting with our feminine essence, it's just a huge journey, like reconnecting with our heart, what we really want, what do we really desire. That takes another level of strength. That takes another level of courage compared to the masculine inner work. So you see, men or women, we all do these two types of the masculine and the feminine type of inner work. But when we're in this world as women, we already nowadays learn a lot to tap into our masculine energy to survive, especially for women who are ambitious, women who have a career that they are building. But then we learn how to hustle, how to have discipline, how to achieve what we want, the goals in our lives, and to take care of things. Like so many women, they have career. Then they go home and then they take care of the entire household and the kids and all. And you see, it takes a lot of this masculine energy of taking action, taking care of everyone, etc. But then so many women, we are disconnected with the feminine part of us. And without that part, our hearts, we will just be chronically drained. We would feel less and less alive because we are disconnected from the source of the energy that makes us feel alive. Then we also disconnect with pleasure. And pleasure is, for example, about appreciating the different things in life. For example, coffee. When was the last time that you could really enjoy a coffee, a cappuccino, like something foamy that you just have this moment to drink and then have this pleasure? Like, when was the last time that you take a shower or a bath and it's not just another thing that you have on the checklist, but rather having an experience where you feel like, oh, this feels so good. This is so nourishing. And then you put on the lotion on your body and you enjoy each touch, each sensation, and each scent, the smell of the lotion. When was the last time we really stop enjoy these moments? And so many women nowadays, because of how things are in society, how we have to lead our lives, we disconnect from it. And then there is no one that we usually can look up to talk about these things. Like, how do you really do self-care as a woman? Because there are so many differences between men and women. Like, men are they work on a daily 24-hour cycle. And women, our energy cycle are 28 days, more and less. It's our menstruation cycle. So during those 28 days, we have differences, like our emotions differ, our energy levels, our productivity differs. For example, for me, when after menstruation, usually my energy begins to build up, and I feel more social, I feel more active, outward, I feel more outgoing. And then after ovulation and right before menstruation and during menstruation time, I feel more inward. I want to be in a cozier rest mode, and I would be more also on a reflective mode. I would look more inward, like, how am I feeling? What do I really need right now? So it's like, we as women, we don't really have much tools. Like, many of us don't have much tools, or we never really learn how to take care of our feminine side. Take care, whether it is physical or emotional, mental, psychological, and even spiritual. So yeah, when I learned about these things, it changed my life a lot. It changed how I look at my health, how I take care of myself, and also, for example, how I am in relationships. Yeah, it changed a lot. And I can tell you that before, I was in a more masculine mode. For example, in my first relationship, it was a 14 years relationship in which 7 was marriage. And in that relationship, I have always been the one taking initiative, taking the lead, and even for fixing things in the relationships, I was often the one more taking the initiative to, hey, let's fix this, or etc. But I was never really, there was always something missing. And I was never really truly fulfilled. Something was always off. And after I actually divorced some years ago, then I began to experience what the real masculine and feminine polarity actually looks like in a relationship. And it felt really different. And since then, as I learned how to reconnect more and more with my feminine essence, my relationships just got better and better in terms of the dynamic polarity, attraction, and also the emotional connection and understanding. So yeah, I am so happy to be able to share about this today. And if you want to know more, just keep in touch. And if you like this content, feel free also to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and also if you have any experience, like your journey as well, if you're also learning about how to reconnect with your feminine essence, feel free to also comment and share about your journey. So yeah, see you next time. Bye.